Wrong signal. High Court order accepting national security bogey to shut down the channel is concerning. Okay. Basically, what is written over this article, we will deal about it. The Kerala High Court judgment upholding the government's revoking the broadcasting permission given to Malayalam's news channel Media One is playing wrong. Okay, means government has revoked the permission, and the Kerala High Court has said okay, it is correct decision. The I and B Ministry did not renew the channel's permission to uplink and downlink signals after the Union Home Ministry declined the security clearance. The company and some employees challenged the action. The court seems to have endorsed the government's stand, supported the government stand. It was a national security issue, and therefore there was no need to observe the principles of the natural justice. The government claimed that there was a sufficient reasons, even though they were not disclosed. Okay, it is unfortunate that the court chooses to accept the submission of the documents in a sealed cover and agree with the authorities that there were intelligent inputs that warranted the denial security clearance. Okay, so without the petitioners being show the contents, the court's decision goes against the emerging jurisprudence that any restrictions on fundamental must not only be reasonable as permitted in the constitution. Okay, so basically if they are not revealing means what is the basic problem, and they have just curtailed the means they have just declared that something against the country has been done, and they have banned the channel, but also witnessed but also withstand the test of proportionality. In this case, broadcasting involves the interconnected right concerning media freedom, freedom to disseminate, and information, media freedom to disseminate means to spread the information, and the freedom to consume information. All these fall under the framework of freedom of speech and expression. The court seems to have accepted the restrictions without examining the reasonables in a way. It has negated not only the changes right to broadcast, but also it views viewers right to know. Okay, it's just astounding. What is astounding means something we can say astounding is basically when we say that surprising, or you can say shocking. Okay, it is astounding that the court dismissed the precedent means that thing has been set previously. Precedent set in a recent case that national security cannot be used as a pretext, means a reason to avoid any judicial examination of restriction imposed by the state. Raising the specter of national security did not give the free pass to the government. Okay, the court had noted in the case involving allegations of the use of the Pegasus, a spyware against the citizens. Okay, so in the recent Pegasus case, the court has noticed, and the court has given certain kind of arguments that on the basis of the national security the government does not get the free pass. Means so this was a earlier claim by the court. Now in this case, so the author is particularly criticizing the action done by the court here by claiming that it was not by claiming it was in a case that involved the right to privacy and not a germane to the media one case. Okay, so what did the court gave this claim that it was basically the Pegasus was against the right to privacy, and this particular thing is not germane. What is germane? Germane is basically relevant, not applicable, not applicable to the media one case, and that thing is not appropriate applicable to the media one case. The judge seemed to have erred. What is erred? Means I think erred means basically to say something just seems or the mistaken or incorrect, make mistake, misbehave, do wrong, erred. Error, this had basically I think error from erred. The need for the circumscription against the bogey of the national security being raised to deny or curtail fundamental rights is a general principle and not confined to a particular right. Further, it is plainly unacceptable that much derided form of sealed cover, justice is being used as an aid to adjudication. Even though courts recognize that the scope of our judicial review in matters of the national security is limited, any claim that particular action was based on the ground ought to be substantiated by the government. Okay, even if it is reluctant to disclose all details. If this if this practice of using confidential intelligence claims to revoke the permission of given were given to the channels to operate, encourage freedom, is encouraged, freedom of the media will be in a great peril. So means in a great kind of you can say peril, great kind of danger or jeopardy. So basically the here author is, what author is saying, that writer is saying, means what the wrongdoing signal is being given, basically means they have tried to curtail the freedom of the speech. And secondly, they even don't told that media channel, didn't told the media channel that what was the reason behind that they are just curtailing it. So the author is concerned about that, if this can go here, so basically in other case as well, um, that could be a scenario where the where the people would not meet with channels, and whatever the institutions would not be told about, means what is the reason behind the reason behind the ban, and they will just simply ban. So this is a concerning and tone, and basically it is criticizing the mm, particular code. Okay, and the orders frozen by uncertainty. What is this article says? Let's deal. RBI has forsaken its mandate of ensuring the price stability to give impetus to the economy. You do know the impetus? Impetus is basically a jai, means you can stimulation, I can say impetus, momentum, impulsion. Okay, the monetary policy committee decision. The monetary policy committee's decision to leave the interest rates unchanged and retain its accommodative policy stance. Okay, what is accommodative means? It's retaining the that chance, means basically accommodative stance is means the central means basically it supply the boost to economic growth. Accommodative stance means the central bank is prepared to expand the money supply to the boost economic growth. Okay, accommodative stance. An accommodative stance means the MPC is willing to either lower rates or keep them unchanged. Accommodative stance. Accommodative policy stance, albeit although with the one member dissenting over the stance. Okay, shows the central bank frozen into the inaction by the Nigerian. Nigerian. KNIAGTIN. Okay, so what does this mean? In economics, Nigerian uncertainty is a lack of any quantifiable knowledge about some possible occurrence. Okay, it is an economic term. Nigerian. Nigerian. Okay. Nigerian or unquantifiable uncertainty surrounding the pandemic hit economy. In a sticking with the status quo, means as the situation it is without changing it. The RBI's policymakers have underscored that, means they have underlined, or you can say they taken a notice that they find themselves trapped in a no man's land. Okay, one of one on the one hand, both the global and domestic economy have suffered a lost momentum in the wake of Omicron wave, and prognosticating means you are delaying prognosticating prospects for the recovery has become even more risky in the face of the uncertainty shrouding the pandemic. What is shrouding? Shrouding is basically, shrouding is a wrap or a dress, a body in a shroud or a burial. Shrouding, enveloping, covering, shrouding the pandemic in this current uncertainty of the pandemic. In India, private consumption, which is the mainstay of domestic demand, shows a little shows a little signs of regaining traction, means to the normal state. Add to the mix of the persistent increase in the international commodity prices, a surge in volatility in international financial markets, and the global supply bottlenecks, and the risk to the outlook are further heightened. Okay, so there is basically a certain kind of financial market supplies risk and all that. So the most telling manifestation, means was telling whatever they are just trying to just manifest, means to just say something, or to do the speech, manifestation of speech, manifest. Basically manifestations is to means able to be seen, clearly shown, or visible. Manifestation. Okay, manifestation of the RBI's prognosis. Prognosis, what is prognosis? Prognosis is basically what is prognosis. Let's see. Prognosis, the likely course of the medical condition, opinion based on the medical prognosis. I think diagnosis. Prognosis is a medical term for predicting the likely or expected development of the disease, including whether the signs and the symptoms will improve or worsen. So, okay, prognosis for the growth is its forecast for the GDP expansion in 22-23, a markedly lower 7.8% when compared with 8.0 to 8.5% projection made in the economic survey. Okay, with the contact intensive components of the services sector and the private investment also be calmed, means there is less private investment. The central bank in the fact expects the growth in the next fiscal to sharply trail off over the course of the year, slowing from 17.2% expansion in quarter 1 to 4.5% in quarter 4. Nor this is nor is this nor is there any respite on prices stability front. The RBI's brave attempts at a downplaying the risk notwithstanding. Consumer Price Index (CPI) based inflation is seen peaking in the current fourth fiscal quarter and averaging 5.7% after moving close to the upper tolerance threshold of 6% in January, according to the RBI's Governor Shaktikant Das. And disconcertingly, what is disconcertingly? Disconcerting means which is really you understand disconcerting, cause to feel unsettled, unsettling, discomforting, or you can say perturbing. Okay, cause something worry. Disconcertingly, even as Mr. Das acknowledged that the hardening of the global crude oil prices poses a major upside risk to the outlook for the price gains. Okay, monetary authorities appear to have plumbed for the backing their own optimistic assumptions and expected softening in vegetable prices on account of the winter arrivals, and the improving prospects of for food grain productions have prompted them to poist the improving inflation outlook. Actually, there is some kind of means the right now this monetary policy have some other means they have other monetary authorities appear to have plummeted the backing of the optimistic assumptions. They have the optimistic assumptions because of the vegetable prices, which are quite less right now, not comparatively less, and the improving of prospect of the food grain production have quite improved. So they have little bit more optimistic assumption. Okay, with the MPC's forecast for inflations, monetary policies forecast for inflation to average 4.5% over 22-23 predicted on another significant uncertainty, a normal monsoon. Okay, so these are uncertainty in which these kind of inflations have been predicted by the monetary policy. The RBI's rate setting panel has risk forsaking its primary mandate of ensuring the price stability at the altar, means at a word something altar of imparting a monetary impetus to the ceremony. At the time when the inflation is a multi-decadal highs, today the inflation is very high, is seeing in a number of the countries of prompting the several major central banks, including the Federal Reserve in the US, to start the normalizing the policy. There is a real danger of the RBI falling behind the curve. So the author is basically trying to point out the RBI's frozen of uncertainty and RBI's accommodative policy stance. So this was all about the article. This is quite financial and is important for the bank perspective.